Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Aysh, and in this video I am going to go through all of my piercings and I'm going to try and rate the pain and the process and all of that stuff, any problems I had with them. I've actually filmed this video like 3 times already, but I'm not happy with it. Even editing it, I'm just not happy, so I'm just going to fucking film it again. I'm in a really good mood today and I've filmed a couple of videos already, so I feel like it's a good time to do that. So my first piercing experience, I very vaguely remember I was about 4 and my auntie pierced my earlobes with a gun. She was a pharmacist, so this is what she did. And obviously I was 4, it fucking hurt. So I got one done and then I ran around the house because I didn't want the other one done, but I eventually got it done. And I eventually ended up taking them out because I did judo. And obviously you can't wear piercings when you're doing sport, so they taped up my ears. But having all male teachers, they didn't really think about the fact that taping my hair to my ears as well by accident would really hurt. So they weren't really careful when they did it, and yeah, I eventually took them out because having tape on my hair really fucking hurt. I got them redone when I was about 8 and that was with a gun as well, but I took these out, I think I wasn't allowed them at school, I'm not quite sure, but I took them out. I got them redone at 12 when I was getting a haircut, so with a gun again. It wasn't really planned, like I think my mum just suggested it because she asked or saw that they did ear piercing. And I was like, yeah, cool. I did have problems with this set. Obviously I left them in for the initial 6 weeks to heal, but then I took them out for PE and I couldn't get them back in and I ended up stabbing through the wrong bit and making a false passage. And then I kept having complications. Like my mum had bought me these really nice gold earrings with elephants on, and because my ear was still healing from the false passage, this really tiny butterfly back ended up getting stuck in my ear. That was a really horrible experience. I can remember that really hurting. Eventually my mum got me some seamless rings and I think she wrote a note in my planner saying like let her leave the rings in, and my school was cool with that. And yeah, they healed up, they're now fine. They're now stretched to I think 6mm. I'm going to 8 because I've got some lumpy Space Princess plugs that I cannot wait to wear. I've been meaning to stretch them this week actually because I haven't for a while, just because things have been busy and I've had new ear piercings, so I haven't really wanted to tamper with my ears. But I'm going to stretch them probably later today, so I should be at 8 in the near future. If you do want an ear stretching guide and video to go with it, then let me know in the comments below and I'll try and get that made as soon as possible. I'm now only working part-time, so I should have a lot more time to make videos and focus on my YouTube channel. So I'm hoping I'll have a lot more content for you guys soon. Those were my first lobes, pretty basic. In terms of cleaning my piercings, I clean them all the same way, and I will link a guide to how I clean my piercings both on screen and in the description because I've got a video on that. The next piercings I got done were my second lobes and my belly button, and I got these done at my local studio where I grew up. My second lobes were done with a gun, belly button obviously done with a needle. I don't really know how you'd be able to do that with a gun. My second lobes I did have problems with. I got huge bumps on the back of them and they were really, really painful. I'm really bump prone and I tend to get bumps on all my piercings, and so far I've gotten rid of them all in the same way. So I'll link a video on screen and in the description on how to get rid of bumps if you've got that problem. But I'm not going to go into it in this video because I've already made a video on it. Pain wise, by the way, like these lobes, I don't really remember. I don't think it was that bad. Obviously they were done with a gun, it was very quick. But the bumps really hurt. I remember that. My belly button was numbed, and in my teenage years I did get most of my piercings numbed, and obviously I now realise this isn't the way to do things, but I'm a bit of a pussy and I don't really like pain or needles, so I did get my belly button numbed, so I can't really comment on the pain, but I don't think it was that bad. But then remember, that is me saying that when I had it numbed, so I can't comment on the pain. And remember, everyone is different. Everyone's pain threshold is different. As a body piercer, I do the same piercing on so many people and the reactions are all completely different. Like some people be like, oh my god, is that it? And then other people will be like, ah! You can't tell how much it will hurt for you by knowing how much it will hurt for me. So the next piercing I got done was actually a set of 4 piercings, and this was the day I finished my GCSEs. And I got my double helix, my tragus, and my nose. All 4 of these piercings got bumps on. I got my double helix done with BCRs, and in hindsight that wasn't a good idea because they moved a lot. I caught them in my hairbrush, and my piercings are slightly wonky from being caught in my hairbrush, but they're fine now. Like I got rid of the bumps and all that. But Definitely wouldn't recommend that. Definitely would get them done with a stud, and I now would get all cartilage piercings done with a stud. I only pierce cartilage piercings with a stud. So yeah, my advice there is don't get rings. I actually caught my BCRs in a car door and it was really painful and the ball came out, and that's the thing with BCRs, I could never get the ball back in. Like, I can take it out, but I could never get it back in. But yeah, I caught it in a car door and it really hurt. I think all of that kind of contributed to the bumps and the upset the piercing was experiencing. I did have bumps on that piercing for like 4 years. Like, it was a long time. I say that piercing even though it's 2 piercings, but you know what I mean. Again, I got those numbed, so I'm not really sure about pain, but I don't think it was too bad. Just the bumps and after experience was bad, but part of that is down to me getting it with rings and shutting it in car doors and catching it on my hairbrush. Moving on to my tragus, I got a bump on that as well, but I managed to get rid of that I think within a year. So it wasn't too bad. Pain-wise, I got it numbed. Sorry, I don't remember. But it's never really given me any problems. I think my tragus is like one of my most healed piercings. Like, the ball always comes off my bar, but my piercing is so healed that it can hold a bar in, like, infinitely with no ball on. The hole is nice and tight around the bar, so it just sits there quite snugly and it's happy to just chill there with no ball. Because even now with my double helix I don't have that, and that could be because obviously, it's on the edge of my ear. It's more likely that if there's no ball on the bar, it's gonna fall out. But in general, it's not as easy to put in as my tragus. It's not as easy to like deal with as my tragus when changing jewellery. My tragus is just like super healed. It's quite nice to have that in a piercing. My nose, I remember my eyes watered and I was really surprised because I thought I was crying because it hurt. And like it did hurt a little bit, but it wasn't like that bad. It was more like a twinge. And this is what I say to my customers. It's like a really twingy feeling. Like, it makes me want to go like this. I remember like a couple of days after I got it pierced, it was like Father's Day and my bar had come out in my sleep and I panicked because it was Sunday and it was Father's Day, and I panicked because I wasn't sure the studio was going to be open, but my mum drove me there and she put it back in. It did hurt a bit, but it was fine. But I do find this is something a lot of people experience because no studs that you're pierced with do not have anything on the inside to keep them on. No screws are just curved. Like, I'll put a picture of one on the screen. The curved bit against your nostrils, so they're cool when they'll sit there. But if they twist at a particular angle, they can come out. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. Just kind of check on your nose piercing to check your jewellery is in correctly and it's sitting nicely against your nostrils so that it doesn't fall out in your sleep like mine did. I also tend to catch mine even now on my towel a lot, like when I'm drying my face. So I guess that's something you should be aware of. Saying that though, I feel like I do that because of the jewellery I'm wearing. I'm wearing like a little crown nose stud, so the little like spikes on the crown tend to catch on the threads of the towel. But I don't think I experience this as much with a normal stud. But I don't really want to wear a normal stud because why? I did get a bump on my nose piercing, as I said, but I got rid of that within a year using the method on my channel, so it wasn't really a huge problem. Like, it didn't look nice, but I didn't have it for long. The next piercing I got was my tongue piercing. I had to do it quite far forward because of the veins in my tongue, but they used a throat numbing spray to numb it. But to be honest, it didn't really numb it. Like, I definitely felt the piercing, but it wasn't that bad. I think the worst part is keeping your tongue stuck out while the piercer is lining up, piercing, putting the jewellery in and cleaning up and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like that's the worst part of the piercing process. Healing wise, your tongue will swell loads. When you first get your tongue pierced, you'll get like quite a long bar. And it is quite long, but you do need it that long. Your tongue will swell a lot. After like the initial healing process of like 2 weeks, you can go get it downsized to a smaller bar because your swelling would have gone down. But at first, you need that long bar. I remember on the day I got my tongue pierced that it was roast dinner for dinner. And I love roast dinner. Like, it is like my favourite meal. So I came home with my tongue piercing and I was supposed to just be getting like an ear piercing. That's what I told my mum. But, I came home with my tongue pierced because I wanted a quick healer. And I knew tongue piercings were a quick healer. My mum was not happy. My dad was not happy. And I was not happy that I couldn't really eat my roast dinner. So in the end, I blended it. And it was actually not that bad. I think I ate soup and ice cream over the weekend and I couldn't really eat solid food for a few days, but it was manageable. But as a piercer, I now know that you should try and avoid dairy when you've got an oral piercing. So if you get an oral piercing and you want something cold, stick to ice lollies rather than ice cream because that will be much better for you. The next piercing I got was my Rook piercing. At this point I am 17. I was 17 for my tongue piercing as well. I got it done with a plastic bar to try and avoid bumps, but I did still get it numbed. As far as I can remember, I did avoid bumps on that piercing, but I'm kind of thinking, if I did avoid bumps by using plastic, then why didn't I get everything done with plastic? So I'm thinking that there maybe was a bump that I just can't remember. But if there was, I would have gotten rid of it in the same way that I've been getting rid of all my other bumps. And as I said, a link to that video will be in the description. I really don't remember this piercing. Like, I really don't remember my experience with it, which is really annoying because I would love to tell you, but I don't remember. The next piercing I got was my reverse belly button piercing. Pain-wise, it didn't really hurt, but healing-wise, it gave me a lot of problems. I really liked how it looked, but my belly button's quite small. There wasn't space for both bars. Even when I'd put a retainer in my other one to make room for the other one, there wasn't really room, and I didn't really have the anatomy for it to sit comfortably. I got it in 2012 and I took it out in 2014 because it just wasn't healing. Like, it still wasn't healed and it was just causing problems. So I eventually just took it out because I was just like, it's not gonna heal, because I kind of felt like it hasn't healed after 2 years. It's just causing me problems and I don't even like it that much. Like, I like it, but not enough for me to keep it. And that was the first piercing, apart from my first lot of earlobes and that I actually took out. That was the first piercing I retired. I do still have a small mark, and you'll see that in the picture of my standard belly button piercing. It doesn't really bother me. Like, it does, but I also know there's nothing I can do about it, and it's not that big, so it doesn't really bother me. The next piercing I got after that was my Midi piercing, and that was the first body piercing that I didn't get numbed, because the guy told me about numbing and how it can affect things, and I told him about my problems with bumps and all of that kind of stuff, and it was like completely painless. Like, my Midi is in like flesh rather than cartilage, so it didn't really hurt. It healed completely fine. I've never had problems with that piercing. It's one of my favourite piercings. I got it at like a really tough time in my life as well, so it's always been kind of special to me in that way. But after that, I didn't get a piercing for quite a long time. Like, I was 18 when I got that Midi piercing. I didn't get another piercing until I was well into being 19, and that was when I got my left nipple pierced. I didn't get this numbed. I got it done by Raf at Extreme Needle in Covent Garden, and she is amazing. I got my first tattoos here, which is why I went there for such important piercings. And I'd read like a lot about her, and I'd researched into her, and yeah, she was amazing. I got them done one at a time because I was in a relationship at the time and I wanted an available nipple. So when that one had healed, like about 6 months later, I got my other nipple pierced. And my right nipple has always been a problem. Like, even now it will sometimes be a problem. Like, I knocked it yesterday and it's just still angry with me today. And it's just like, chill, bruv. In its healing process, I caught my left nipple on the zip of a hoodie. And I zipped up a hoodie and I wasn't wearing anything underneath, and I caught my bar. My left nipple tore a little bit, and I hadn't realised, because it wasn't visible that it tore, but it had torn inside, like the hole, the tunnel or something. I could feel pain, but I couldn't see it. So I thought, okay, I just knocked it. But my left nipple then got infected and passed the infection to my right nipple, and that was the most excruciating pain ever. Like, piercing infections are really rare. People are always like, oh, I think my piercing is infected, blah 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 blah, but like half the time it's not even infected, it's just like healing. But this nipple infection was the most excruciating pain ever. Like, it really hurt. I got that cleared up about a year ago, and they've kind of been fine ever since. My right one is still a little temperamental, but it's essentially healed, and he's just a bit like more sensitive to being banged and knocked and that kind of stuff. It's essentially healed, it's just more sensitive. I've totally forgotten to rate the pain of these. My nipples were probably my most painful piercing. Like, the actual piercing hurt and then they ached afterwards. But I've also pierced people that have said it didn't hurt at all. Everyone is different, and as I said at the beginning, bear that in mind. You cannot predict how much things are going to hurt for you by listening to how much it hurt for me. But personally for me, my nipples really hurt. Like, I'd like to say I'm quite used to piercing pain. And even though I don't have a high pain threshold, I feel like I rate things accordingly. After you've had so many piercings, you kind of get used to the pain. But this one did shock me, and it was quite painful. Going back to before my nipple infection though, I just wanted to keep all my nipple talking together. But going back to before then, I did get my third lobes pierced, and I got those done with a needle. And they were completely fine, like, they healed fine. There's nothing really to say about them. They didn't really hurt. They didn't really cause me any problems. I kind of forgot I got them. I had like the same jewellery in them for like 2 years, so... And I was 20 when I got my third lobes pierced, so I was 20 when I had the nipple infection and blah blah blah. After that, I didn't get a piercing for quite a while until the summer just gone, which was when I got my septum pierced. I used to hate septum piercings, but when I did a stock order for my store, I got some fake septum clickers and I tried one on and I really liked how it looked. And after like a week of wearing it and seeing, like taking pictures in it and kind of all of that kind of stuff, I decided to get my septum pierced. And I went back to Extreme Needle, but this time I had Ronnie, and I'm not impressed with my experience at all. My septum piercing that I got done at Extreme Needle is done through my cartilage, which is not where a septum piercing should be. It was excruciatingly painful. Like, not as bad as my nipples, but like it was definitely really bad. My eyes completely streamed, and since then I haven't gone back to Extreme Needle. I didn't actually realise it was done from my cartilage for a couple of months until I trained as a piercer and I realised it was wrong. And I did email Raf, because I've kind of emailed her a lot about like my nipples and stuff before, but she said as she hadn't done the piercing there wasn't really a lot she could do and it had been quite a while, but she could give me a bit of a discount if I wanted to take it out and get it redone by her. In the end, I ended up going to a local shop and getting my septum piercing in the right place in addition to my existing septum piercing. I did do something a little bad here, and I did change my jewellery after like 2 days. Only because I have a seamless ring in my initial septum piercing and she put a horseshoe in my new one and it just looked really stupid. I did this in very sterile conditions, like I had all my piercing equipment, I was already trained as a piercer, so I did it like I would do it for a client that didn't have a big enough bar. Pain wise, I don't really know, because I told her I don't want any numbing. And she did it and then told me she numbed it without telling me. And I kind of felt like, what if I had been allergic to that? Like, what if I was allergic to the numbing stuff? You just numbed it. In hindsight, I'm not going to go back there, but I am happy with the placement. It healed completely fine even after me changing it. To be honest, I feel like it felt better when I changed it, but maybe that's just psychological. I also got my snug done at the same time, as it was 2 piercings for £25. Long story short, it really swelled, the bar was too small, my ear ate the bar, and I retired the piercing. But if you want the long story long, then there's a whole video on that, and you can watch that and see what happened to my first snug piercing, because it was horrible. Sorry if you just heard that bang, I think my neighbour just jumped. After taking my snug out, I was feeling a bit sorry for myself, like, oh, I've lost the piercing, and I went to get my Daith pierced. I went to a different studio, but in the same area, and I did end up working at the studio, but let me just say now, it's just as terrible. Like, they were putting stuff in sterilisation packets, but it wasn't actually sterilised. They were just completely terrible in many other ways as well, but that's another story. But anyway, I got my Daith pierced. It didn't hurt at all. Like, literally, it didn't hurt at all. She did seem to struggle though. Like, I did ask her, like, I'm not sure if my Daith is big enough to be pierced, because I can't really see my Daith, and I can't really see how much room I had, but she said it was fine. But in hindsight now, I'm thinking maybe it wasn't, because my Daith still isn't really healed. Like, I have bumps on it, they are going down, but my Daith just still feels uncomfortable. And I don't know if that's because I just never really had enough room. But I have had it looked at, and another piercer has said it's completely fine, it's just still healing. So I'm going to persevere with it and hope that once the bumps have gone, it feels a lot more comfortable. These last 3 piercings, the Septum, Snug and Daith, these were all in September 2016, so I was 21 at that point. They're all pretty recent. And then just before my 22nd birthday, I got my Conch pierced, and I'm not gonna lie, that really fucking hurt. Like, it wasn't the worst pain I've felt, but it was quite a pinch. But then it is going through your whole ear, so it's kind of to be expected. But I really like the placement and I'm happy with the piercing. Healing wise, like, after the piercing had been done, it didn't really hurt, it was more of an ache, and it's kind of been that way since it's been done. So it wasn't a tough piercing to heal, it was more that it was just kind of painful to get done. I did develop bumps on my conch, but they are basically gone now. I still recommend it, I still love my conch piercing, and if you want one, I wouldn't want my experience to put you off, because as I've said several times in this video, everyone is different, pain is different for everyone, it might not hurt so much for you, and you might have a better experience. But equally, it might hurt more for you, but I cannot predict that, you cannot predict that, and no one can predict that. So please don't ask me, will this hurt? At the end of the day, piercings are done with the needle. They're all going to hurt to some extent. So asking me if something will hurt is completely redundant. The next piercing I got was my snug piercing, and I've actually just filmed a video on this. I got my snug redone on my other ear. Pain wise, it was quite painful. Not super painful, but on like the same level as my conch. Obviously it is going through quite a thick bit of cartilage, so that would be why. The piercing is only 2 weeks old at the moment, but it has gone through quite a lot already. It did swell quite a lot and I had to get the jewellery changed. But I've got a whole video on that, so I'll link to that on screen and in the description below. And I'll update you on my snug journey as it heals. And yeah, that is all my piercings, all 21 of them, I think. I hope I haven't missed one, because that will be super annoying. So just a quick update, because I did film this video before I got these piercings, but because I haven't put it out yet, I thought I'd just add an update to say, oh, okay, I've got these piercings. So I got 2 lip piercings a couple of weeks ago, and I just thought I'd tell you about my experience so far in this video to at least get them in there. I do have a video specifically on these piercings with more information and detail about getting them and how it's been, but you know, here's just a quick add-on for this video. So my 23rd piercing was my Medusa piercing. I've had it for about 2 or 3 weeks now. Piercing wise, it did hurt quite a bit, like I expected it to hurt, but it was quite sharp. But as soon as the piercing was done and the jewellery was put in, it's been pretty much fine. Like, it was very swollen at first, but once the swelling went down, it's been like completely fine. I've not really had any problems with it whatsoever. Like, it doesn't get in the way, it doesn't affect my eating, it's just fine. There's not really much to say about it. But pain wise, I can't remember exactly what I rated it in my last video, but you know, I think it was a 7 out of 10-ish, like trying to remember back now. I'll put whatever I rated it in my last video on the screen anyway, because my memory of it when I rated it then was obviously more recent, and now I just don't really remember. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. Like, after the pain, it's completely fine. Like, it feels really funny. Like, I just felt kind of like I'd been to the dentist and been numbed, but it didn't really hurt at all. Like, it's just fine. Moving on to my 24th piercing, that was my vertical labret, and my god, that was a bitch. I don't remember what I rated it in my last video, but I'm going to say, what, like an 8 out of 10. I'll put whatever I rated it in my last video on the screen anyway, so that you can see what I thought of it when my memory was fresh. But yeah, I thought it would just be like biting your lip really hard, but actually it was quite painful and it did surprise me. But I'm glad I got it done. I do really like it. I did have problems when I first got it, like with eating and drinking and stuff like that, but they have been progressively getting better as time has gone on. So I no longer need to drink out of straw. I can drink out of cups normally. Like, I can kind of feel it on my bar, but like, I try and avoid it. But if it rests on it, it doesn't really hurt or matter or anything like that. In terms of eating, like, it's pretty much fine now. Like, I don't really notice it when I'm eating. Like, it doesn't get in the way. But then saying that, I haven't had anything like a burger or a sandwich since I got it done, because I don't really like sandwiches, and I just haven't had a burger. So I can't really comment on that aspect, so I knew I wasn't sure how I'd go about eating food like that. I guess that is something I'll have to put in my update video about my lip piercings when I put that out. But this, as I said, it was just to add it on since I've got the piercings and I haven't put the video out yet. You know, I got my lips pierced, I've now got 24 piercings. This is how they were. So I just wanted to film a little update, as I have had something else done and I still haven't put this video out, and I just thought, fuck it, let me tag it on again. So what I've had done is my first microdermal implant, and if you can't already see it, it's right here. So this did not hurt as much as I thought it would. I guess I'd rate it about 4 out of 10. I have only had it a few days though, so I can't really rate the healing. But it really wasn't as painful as I was expecting. The procedure was very quick. But I do have a whole video on the procedure if you'd like to check it out. I will link it both on screen and in the description. But this was just a quick update to say I got this and it wasn't that bad. If you have a question, drop a comment below and let me know. Let me know what your piercing experience have been and how many you have. I'd love to talk to people about piercings. I really wish I had more people to talk to about piercings, so please drop a comment below. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, you can get 10% off at wholeheartedlondon.com by using the code YouTube at the checkout. That's all from me today, guys. I'll see you next time.